Okay, so here's how to set up and draw your perspective drawing. The first thing you want to do is draw the horizon line. So using the grid lines, draw one nice straight line. Then you give yourself a vanishing point. You can just give a little dot right there. The next thing, you have to give yourself the boundaries or the vanishing boundaries. So from the vanishing point, draw a dotted line all the way up here. And that's your top boundary line. Do the same thing for the bottom. Okay, now you're set up, ready to go. You're going to draw your first pole. You can draw the first pole anywhere you'd like. I'm going to start mine right here. And then you draw your second pole. Your second pole can go anywhere you want. I'm going to put mine here. If you put your second pole too close, like right here, you're going to have way too many poles to draw for this project. So put it like an inch or two away. All right. Then you're going to find your protractor, and you're going to put it at the top of the bottom of the first pole to the top of the second pole. And you're going to draw a lightly dotted line. And this line is going to help you measure the angle that you're going to work with for the rest of your project. So you're going to put the base of your protractor at the bottom of pole 1, and you're going to line it up so that that 90-degree mark is vertical right on the pole right here, so you know your protractor is lined up perfect. Then you look at this dotted line, and you see where it hits your protractor. It hits right here. So I know my angle is 10, almost 20. Actually, I'm going to call it 20. So my angle is 20 degrees. That's the angle I'm going to use for the rest of my project. So I take my protractor, I go to the next pole. I line it up at the base of the pole. I make sure the 90 degrees is vertical. And then I know my angle is 20 for my project. So I'm going to go and find 20 degrees, and I put a little flying dot. And I take my protractor where you can see my dot right here that I just made. I'm going to connect this dot with a dotted line down to the bottom of the second pole. And I can even extend it just a little bit. Now, the intersection right here between the dotted line and the vanishing boundary, this is where I start my next pole. So I take my protractor and I use the grid lines and I draw a nice straight pole from boundary to boundary. I follow those steps again and again until I've drawn all my poles. So I'll do one more for you. My protractor is lined up at the base. It's up here 90 degrees vertical. I find 10, 20 degrees. I put a little dot. When I take my protractor away, I'm looking for this dot. I'm going to connect it with a nice dotted line to the bottom of that pole. The intersection tells me where to start my next pole. And I'm going to go straight down. And then you keep doing that. What you should notice is that the poles are getting smaller and the distance between the poles is getting smaller. If you don't see that happening, something has gone wrong. Okay? And you continue to do this until you draw in all the poles all the way here through the vanishing line. Once you've done that, you have your skeleton drawing of all the poles, and it's time to collect data. The data we're collecting, you're going to need a centimeter ruler, and you're going to measure the height of the pole. So in this case, the height is 9.5 centimeters. So you measure the height of the pole, and that's your X value. Your Y value is going to be the distance from the vanishing point. So along the vanishing boundary, you measure from the base of your pole to the vanishing point. And in this one, it's 18.6. So the distance is 18.6 centimeters. That's my first ordered pair. My X value of 9.5, Y value of 18.6. I then do the same thing for the second pole. I measure the second pole, the height of the second pole. It's 8 centimeters. And then the distance from the vanishing point along the same boundary line is 15.5 centimeters. And you keep doing that until you've measured at least 5 poles. If you have a ton of poles drawn, like 20 poles, just measure the first 10. That's fine. Okay, but you should have at least 5 data points for your table and your scatter plot. This is 12.7. So once you collect all the data, you can put it in your table and put it in your scatter plot, and then you can find K. Make sure that you're reading the directions on the project worksheet because it'll help you out a lot. All right, that's it.